You do not rise to the level of your training and expectations. You fall to that level of the training that you have had. And I can honestly say that our police department is one of the most highly trained, and the first thing I want to do is give accolades to our training division. We play like we practice, and that is exactly what happened out there. When the call went out for shots fired and that there were more than one potential victim, we knew right at the beginning that this was a mass shooting, that thing that we hear about and we see, but we're always certain that's not going to happen in our community. And then it was happening. And on the way there, as I was listening to the radio, and the first call I heard was one of the officers say, "I've been hit," and so on and so forth. And that feeling is one that, as a police chief, I never wanted to feel. I knew that there was a possibility, a potential for it, just given our profession. But you never can prepare yourself for that moment. And what happened that day, as I said, we don't rise to the level of our expectations, we fall to the level of our training, and everyone fell to the level of their training, which was phenomenal. Everyone did exactly what they were supposed to do in that very moment. I would like to give a shout out to my command staff over here that fell into their roles. Everybody took an operational role, and I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Within the first 4 minutes, our officers were shot, and they continued to go in. And one of them, who had a very serious injury, said, "Don't take me out. I want to keep going back in." And that was the mentality that we had, the resilience that we had, the relentlessness that we had on that scene. And at one point, when I looked around and I saw a sea of officers in all different uniforms, there were hundreds of them, I knew that our community was strong, our surrounding community. And I want to also thank Naperville Police Department. The Chief Marshal is here as well. They were part of the team that went in when we were able to neutralize the threat. And there are no words to describe how we all became one on that day. The fire department, we have been training together. It's been unprecedented in the city of Aurora to have the fire department and the police department train together, but because of rescue task force training, we just were training together not too long ago, and those teams knew exactly what to do on those two separate missions. One was a life-saving mission, and the other was to attempt to eliminate the threat, and that all went down flawlessly. Officers were hurt, and we are working through that. But those officers are still with us, and some of them are going to have injuries that are going to take a long time to heal, and that's just the physical ones. Today we had a stress debriefing for our police department, and there's a lot of pain, and I just want to give a message to the Aurora Police Department, the men and women, and to tell you that you are heroes, you are warriors, and even the ones that weren't injured were still running in. I know there was a certain moment in the command posts where we were actually having to hold people back. And, and the fire chief said, we need to wait. We've got teams going in there. But that was the mentality in that moment. And I could not be more proud of those police officers and those firefighters and all the first responders that came. We had a job to do that day, and we did it. As I talked to the police officers who were injured, a few of them mentioned to me with the heavy heart that they have, that they couldn't do more for the victims. Yesterday we met with the families of the victims, and to them I say, I am so very sorry for your loss. We are feeling an emptiness in this community because they are no longer with us, and their families are now going to be part of our family, and we are not going to forget them. That was the hardest thing I've had to do, was look in their eyes yesterday. And I know that we did everything that we could, but we still carry that with us, that could we have done more? Could we have? I know we couldn't have, but it still weighs very heavily on them. So from our family to their families, we are absolutely one. I know that moving forward is going to be difficult, but I know the strength and the resilience that we have in this city with our leadership and with our community. And the last shout out is to the citizens of Aurora. When we infiltrated that parking lot, and also Luigi's Pizza owner, we came in droves, and it took over his pizza place. And I know there were 3 birthday parties planned for that day, and I eventually want to get with those children and redo their birthday parties. But he closed the doors and made pizzas for everyone, so we could then go into our operations. And so this community has come together. When I went to the vigil, that's when I felt the true strength of this community, of our Aurora citizens. And I've never felt anything like that in my life. So as much as we are hurting, we are also healing together. So thank you to the citizens of Aurora for coming together. We are absolutely Aurora strong. Thank you.
Do we have the Naperville?
Thank you. Yes, we have the Naperville Police Chief with us, Chief Marshall. You can come down, the Naperville Fire Chief as well. Please come down. Let's give them a round of applause, please. Bucknitis and Marshall.
We have heroes right here in our midst, those in uniform and those civilians who have stepped up to the plate to do their part to make this the City of Lights. And we will continue to shine. Thank you to our local schools who are directly impacted for doing such a great job on communicating with parents. Thank you to West Aurora High School, District 129, Holy Angel School, and Aurora University. In addition, Aurora University served as a staging location for families as well. Let's all give them a round of applause. The entire Aurora Strong theme was launched on Friday evening via Facebook badge that has now been downloaded thousands of times across the world. Thank you to our own Sarah Cervantes of Send Me a Dream Marketing for helping to define us during this time. Sarah, please stand up if you're here. Right here, come on down, stand with us, Sarah. Wow. Good to see you. Stand right with us. All right. She's now working with our communications department to retool Aurora Strong logo, and is now selling T-shirts, mugs, and other memorabilia with proceeds going to Aurora Strong Community Fund. Thank you to our own Chad Jimenez from the City of Aurora Communication Department. Chad, please stand up if you're here with me. Chad, there you give Chad a round of applause. Stand up, Chad. On Friday, one of our long-standing businesses, Luigi's Pizza, opened its doors as the main staging area for public safety officials, as pointed out by the chief. With hundreds of officials on site, the Luigi stopped operations of its business and still continue to make pizzas to feed the public safety teams that were on site. Now that is community spirit. We have Bob Lockwood representing Luigi's that is present. Bob, are you here? Please come on down. Give Bob a round of applause. All these folks prove that we are stronger together. Now, Luigi's story is not done. This Friday, 95.9 The River radio station will be hosting an all-day radio-thon at Luigi's Pizza to raise additional funds for Aurora Strong Community Fund from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. The River will be there broadcasting with radio, music, and live bands. Please stop by to support the fund and to buy pizza from Luigi's. Thank you to Bill and Luigi's team. So far, there are at least a dozen other fundraising events planned at local businesses. We will be publishing a list on our website and social media. On last Saturday morning, the city established the Aurora Strong Community Fund to assist the families of victims in their planning and healing process. While the parent company of Pratt has agreed to pay for all funeral costs, we know financial burdens need to be relieved. So we have continued to raise funds as a community. Donations have come from all over the globe, from 5 donations to tens of thousands of dollar donations. As of 3 p.m. today, the fund has $92,000 raised, well above the initial goal of $50,000. True to our Aurora spirit, we go above and beyond to help our fellow residents. Today we'll increase the total with matching donations from a number of local companies and organizations. For example, the Aurora Noon Rotary Club is here with President Charlie Zine. The Rotary will donate a specific amount to each family of the victims. Thank you, Rodeo. Let's give a round of applause. Charlie, come on down, bro. We also have a donation of $10,000 from Shore Company to add to the fund. President and CEO Craig Funkhauser couldn't be with us today, but he said, as a corporation with roots in Aurora dating back nearly 100 years, Shore Packaging is deeply saddened by this Census Act. Please give Shore a round of applause. One of the first calls that we received was from Community Foundation of the Fox River Valley, a long-standing institution in our community. Not only did they agree to support the fund, they established a donation portal right to the foundation and agreed to match the donation up to $10,000. As of yesterday, donations total $22,000. President CEO Jeff Hartman and Board Chairman John Diedrich are here. Please give them a round of applause. These folks prove we are stronger together. In total of 4 days, we have raised more than $125,000 for families of the victims. And it doesn't stop there. There are many fundraisers happening this next couple of weeks to support the Aurora Strong Community Fund. I have a final update at our State of the City address 2 weeks from tonight at 6 p.m. on March 5th at Aurora University. I want to thank you all to our global community for supporting Aurora, Illinois during these difficult times. As we continue the healing process, we still need your prayers, your well wishes, and we still need your support. We are one Aurora, Aurora strong, and stronger together. You know, let's take a picture with everybody here that has agreed to. Let's give these folks one more round of applause.
I'd also like to announce right next to Luigi's Mitchell McConnell Ice Cream Shop, they also were a staging source, and we appreciate their support as well. Let's give them a round of applause. Mitchell McConnell.
Now, folks, we've got a few more minutes left before I've got to head off to City Council, so we're going to take some questions here. You have any questions?
Mayor, I have a question for the police chief, if she could please.
All right.
Chief,
She has to get to another meeting.
well, it's about the investigation.
We've got an investigator.
Public information officer is here.
She's called away. I can probably answer.
Can you step over? Sergeant, yesterday the state police described what can only be described as a really flawed system, where they admitted that they sent out 10,000 some revocations last year alone, and very few of the forms were ever returned. They have no idea where the guns are. Have you been able to determine yet exactly how that process unfolded in this case?
I know that for this particular offender in question, we've conducted an audit of our records. We can confirm that we've not been able to find any receipt that we've received from the Illinois State Police that dates back to 2014, just like the State Police has no information that indicates that they've been able to find in their records sending one out. Keep in mind, we had a different process in place back in 2014, or rather the State Police did. It was an electronic communication, which amounts to what we would consider an email. Back in 2014, that process was changed by the State Police back then, as they indicated in their press release. We have no record of a receipt. That's not to say that we didn't get one back in 2014. We just have no record that we did receive one.
If I could just understand.
Sure.
They said in their release yesterday that they sent out leads messages. Are you saying you have no record you ever received the leads message, or you have no record that you ever received his form?
We have but now could you clarify what you mean by the form?
He's supposed to fill out a form saying how he's going to dispose of his weapon.
Okay, so let me clarify the form issue first. The form issue is what occurs when and if someone turns over a firearm to a police agency. Then the police agency fills out that form and turns that form into the state police. Keep in mind, just because someone owns has a FOID card, doesn't automatically mean that they have a firearm. That just means they have a firearm owner's card. And if that card is revoked, the person is notified of the revocation, and if they have firearms, they're required to turn them over. What I'm saying is we have no record of receiving notice from the state police back in 2014 that this person's firearm owner's identification card had been revoked. That doesn't mean that we didn't receive one. We just don't have any record of that.
Okay, so you say the system has been changed now?
The new system is a letter that's sent out. It's different. It's just a different notification system by the state police, and they encapsulated that in their press release that they gave us
The
yesterday.
King County Sheriff said today that he wants to go to a system where they are notified so that they can be aware of who's had their cards revoked. He wants to go out, contact them, and say, "Hey, buddy, you don't have a card anymore." What do you think?
I think Sheriff Hain, I think he's a very good proactive sheriff that we work with on a regular local basis. I don't know what his ideas are, but I'm sure whatever his ideas are, any idea that helps improve any system in the state's a good idea worth considering.
Okay.
Sure.
Two more questions for the mayor. Any questions?
Get your name one more time, sir.
My name?
Please.
Sergeant Bill Rowley, Rowley.
How about the officer who's still being treated for his eye, I believe?
Okay, all the officers have been released except for one. He remains in a local hospital with his family under the care of a physician. The officer who had the upper extremity injured, he is at home with his family recovering.
Can you talk at all about the injury that the officer is dealing with in the hospital?
Not yet. Not yet.
Hey, Sergeant, can I just ask one
One
question
final-
for clarification?
One final question.
Because you have no record of receiving the leads message, effectively, your community had no way of knowing that this gentleman's FOID card had been revoked and that he should not have a weapon.
Well, what I'm saying is as I stand here today, we have no record of receiving notice from the Illinois State Police that his FOID card had been revoked. Any agency that receives notice of a person's FOID card revocation, they're not bound to go take action based on that revocation notice. But we didn't receive notice in the first place, or we don't have any record that we received notice in the first place.
Did your community have a policy of if you got those notifications to go out and try to proactively act on it?
We had a policy in place that we received notices from the state police, but that policy in 2014 was different than the policy that we might have in place now. But it's not a matter of a policy that says if the state police sends us a FOID revocation notice that we immediately go seek a search warrant for someone's home or things like that. It's more of a courtesy notification from the state police.
So then how can people in this community feel safe, if they don't know that there are other people living amongst them who may have a weapon without a FOID card?
That sounds like a good question for discussion. That's not a policy question for the Aurora Police Department, though.
What is your policy now?
I'm sorry?
What is your current policy?
We receive notice from the Illinois State Police when someone's FOID card has been revoked. That is a courtesy notice that's given to us by the state police. If there's action that we deem necessary, in other words, if there's an immediate threat that we can identify, keep in mind that revocation or notice of revocation of someone's FOID card it's not sufficient to search somebody or search their home. That's just a notice that their FOID card has been revoked. That's not a call to action by the state police.
But isn't
Okay,
it
I gotta get back to the. Thank you.
Any questions for the mayor and the general community support as we move forward a little stronger?
All right, well, thank you very much for coming out today. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Mayor.
All right, you're very welcome.
Yeah, I want to say hey to Andy.
Oh, I'm sorry, I just stepped right into your shot, just like Mike said I would. Yeah. Thank you. I'm sorry. Pardon me.